amemwin parliament or a sovereign or a supreme you are obor parliament do.
That's the
UK. Imagine from the throes of British colonial rule, such how our 1960 constitution was couched was more of a sovereign parliament. Now, Kwame, just a portion. Say, 1960 constitutional Article 20. I say, the sovereign parliament. There shall be a parliament consisting of the president and the National Assembly. Why a few exceptions, which are fetters on the powers of parliament, i.e., in the maybe parliament in here was reserved for the people. Right. The people will only decide in a referendum. And as the to ensure the constitution itself, parliament didn't finance and can't work quite biado. So what was once I can for the sole purpose of amending the constitution itself.
Okay.
Into them limitations if you are. Kwame, Tremosia, what describe it? Or your parliament in these terms. 26. Article 26. Also, apart from the limitations referred to in the preceding provisions of this article, the power of parliament to make laws shall be under no limitation whatsoever. Kwame atomiche ya. Nso chebe. Sir parliamentary one day. Sir no 1960 parliamentary. Inchama
my parliament beke be no kware. No
ma one nine hona. Inchana nchmo ye ya kwai. Yandom yam ko. On this section Kwame. In some siwo First Republic. In some na obia obakan oye wo friend MPP and IGP. It can MPP and IGP. Oye wo friend Mbrebia no 1968 a champion Mbrebia Oshe which law was that? I think
68.
No. Sorry.
What's the NRC?
Sorry. No. The law is 68. I think 68 was about NLC. Yes, about public order. And see, yaba 1992 constitutional practice. MPP and such other groups, they wanted to exercise their right under Article 21 to demonstrate. Now, Embran at the time, 1992, when this matter started, the Embran at the time was that they needed to have explicit or express permission from the police under that law. And see, MPP, Wokro court. Na court na Wokwerin, Tema, Oya, Wofana. Amwasechi JSC as he then was. Then some more kind. Na wada room mabahacha in the bombazana fi mamwaku makakra.
Makumazim zama me time na mintu move famo.
Yes, fani ha kan mam wada room. Amwasechi. Kwame na sama okay. Ose to sum it up, because what is ahead of me is plenty. To sum it up, I say, our 1992 constitution now you're operating until the 1960 constitution. The parliament was sovereign. Parliament in fact, there were cases in the war penned before quarter. Parliament in the course of the action, the course of proceedings, Parliament could pass or would pass a law just to render the proceedings, what will even be the word, of China case about a court reason. Parliament but pass law. Obama to continue the case was simply that the legs were simply not there for the case to continue. It was just to offer the case or render it moot. A case like Edusai, Balogun and Edusai. No yes wo friend wo placha de obi wa kaya ada oyin opposition person enti onyaga nnya wo pede wo deporting enti wo deport na all the processes wo hwe na wa ka the massam the parliament at the time passed the law to make the trial or make the proceedings moot. What's all that? There was a case in Kumasi, opposition party person, not dying, okububun ma okrokota or per compensation. In the course of proceedings, na parliament passed a law, continuous proceedings in comatose, moot. So parliament at the time in 1960, the 1960 constitution could do anything at all. I mean, in fact, there was also even a case, commissioner of police plus the interior minister. They had indeed fallen contempt of the court, and proceedings had been initiated for contempt against them. Whilst in the course of the proceedings, parliament passed an act just to make it render it moot.
Point well noted. Let's move forward.
It's the 1960 constitution was one that gave parliament, if you may call it,
absolute right,
absolute power to do whatever they could.
Not really. Because you just read the
yes, I'm saying
it was not. So
I said if you may, if you I've somehow qualified it, if you may, except those limitations.
That's right.
They could do all they wanted to do, but even for the reserved power to the people could go to referendum and still give more of such powers to parliament. That was 1960 constitution. Kwame, inti experience a yehuni oya wo friend the consequences therefrom ma yefom as a country onu na chi ye fi ho yedi parliamentary supremacy yedi fi ho ma yedi ba oya constitutional supremacy. Inti Kwame says ya constitution na ya one, it is supreme over all branches of government, whether the executive, legislature or the judiciary. But then the question is, sir, if the constitution is suprema, who are the guardians of constitutionality or who are the guardians of legality under the 1992 constitution? Kwame, constitution chair perfect nwa oya nwa asade. O say na say constitution no ye suprema, or then you be a constitution na ba chair nwa, what more or less if you may call them watchdogs. Nwa wo hwe na them a supremacy of the constitution wa bon ho ben.
Yeah.
Inti Kwame, let's go to Article 1. Article 1. I say, the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government are to be exercised. The powers of government. Government here, three arms of government: executive, judiciary, and legislature. The powers of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits, laid down in this constitution. Equal further, as this constitution shall be the supreme law of Ghana, and any other law found to be inconsistent with any provision of this constitution shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be void. Inti, Kwame, onye constitution, onye boybrand, constitution chade, onye nana, ojinado.
Okay.
Now, I was talking about guardians of constitutionality or legality under the constitution. Article 2. But if you go to even the Article 2, say marginal note now, or say enforcement of the constitution. Enforcement of the constitution. The enforcement of the constitution has placed that in the hands of the Supreme Court. Enforcement of this constitution, whether it is parliament, they must operate within the limits as laid down in this constitution. Whether it is the executive, they must operate within the limits as laid down in this constitution. Whether it is judiciary, they must operate as laid down within the limits as laid down in the constitution. But if they must operate within the limiter, there must be a watchdog to be able to ensure that all these branches are operating within the limits. And here you are talking about enforcement of the constitution. That is the domain. That is the remit of the Supreme Court. He mentioned Article 130. Kwame said Article 130 now. This is Article 130. I say the subject to the jurisdiction of the High Court, and this is only for enforcement of fundamental personal human rights, all of us. Even if it comes to enforcement of the provisions of the human rights, the Supreme Court can enforce them because they are all provisions of the Constitution. But if you go down, what's subject to the jurisdiction of the High Court in the enforcement of the fundamental human rights and freedoms as provided in Article 33 of this Constitution, the Supreme Court shall have exclusive original jurisdiction in all matters, not some matters, all matters relating to the enforcement or interpretation of this Constitution. And then you go B, it is also further affirming it. It is echo 11110. Kwame 110.
Also,
you know, 110 talks about standing orders. Parliament, the power to make standing orders. Is here. And here it is, Kwame. Also, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, Parliament may, by standing orders, regulate its own procedure. It is
may.
Yes, not the may. It is the subject.
Okay.
Whatever standing orders that Parliament makes to regulate their procedures, all those standing orders are subject to the provisions of this Constitution. And it is on the basis of the standing orders. Standing orders, we are told, Standing Order 18. NOB, which is the news is that Haruna Idrisu in the original Oya Parliament, now Obisa Oya Speaker. These are the circumstances which have arisen in respect of these 4 seats: Oya Aguna West, Suhum, Formina, and then
Amenfi Central.
It's Mr. Speaker, we are here under Order 18. We want to hear from Right Honourable Speaker. Speaker there. He was given an information. The information was that based on his understanding of the circumstances, those 4 seats have become vacant.
Yeah.
The effect of what he called information, the effect was that he was interpreting Article 97. 97. That was the effect of what he was doing. It's Kwame, sir, okay, one information. That's the effect in there. Those 4 seats have been declared vacant. More or less, Kwame, he was encroaching upon the domain. He was encroaching upon the remit of the Supreme Court. Now, and I'm now beginning to calm down so that I eventually land. And I tell you, the last 1-2 weeks, this country was tottering on a precipice of a huge danger.
No fancy then.
Kwame, 2 weeks are Speaker Babin in the minority, especially led by Atufosin. And here, I want to also add my voice to Alote Jacobs in his commendation of the majority leader. Kwame, but that is even not the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter where our democracy.
Baby, I can't the one chef and 2
Kwame, ma odi oha kase pa bapa ni de.
Yeah.
Inya oya members of Parliament repudiating the decision of the Supreme Court. Kwame, members of Parliament repudiating the decision of the Supreme Court. In fact, their very existence as Parliament, their very existence was at stake. Because, Kwame, anybody who attempts to repudiate the standing and the function of the Supreme Court, in effect, the entire democracy is being brought down. Supreme Court is the one that holds this Constitution. Supreme Court is the one that indeed provides the oxygen, the life for our democracy. Obia Kwame Obeye Bibi Obetia Supreme Court. The effect is that indeed this democracy is being battered and may stand the risk of being brought down. Now, Mamreka Mejesi Kwame, only there. So, if oil leak messages are wefi NDC platform ABBA.
Well, it can be authenticated, can it?
They have not put any information out there.
And I'm not stopping you. They
have not put any info.
But one can't hear.
Yeah, you are right.
A lot of the numbers are known to us.
You are right. You are right that it's not authenticated. But I'm also saying that
a lot of the numbers
have not put
our social media.
Have you hosted
WhatsApp platform?
Are you a program moderator there?
And he's right.
You don't know the rules of engagement.
Yes, he's right.
Mr. Asamna Kwamna can Otumoka. But on chedo no kwa.
Exactly. I agree.
I also say him numbers no. On chedo no kwa but can me say.
Kwame me yon pe ho kra. Wejuma de answer na yebasuru po.
Alote ntimase.
Yes. But emusuma asame there. Them leak messages you oba is 3-4 days ni.
Yeah no.
Obia you want the oya wo fa release the aba there. What you are seeing on social media is not coming from our platform.
Good.
Now, Kwame.
So that makes the point. I'll try to myself here. Yeah. Okay.
Kwame.
Yeah.
To the extent there, they were going to treat soldiers like common criminals. Soldiers in the dark. You had the speaker call soldiers to come and secure the place for you. They wanted canine services.
The bottom.
Yes. And then bomb. With Canaan, they may be sniffing for something else. And then Obisaka planted their bomb squad. Yes, to come and clear them. So that you could go and desecrate Parliament. To go and turn the Chamber of Parliament a national business forum. To change it to a parade ground, a marching ground. Kwame. Kwame.
Hey,
how far we have come as a democracy, as a country, that you are members of Parliament, the chamber where the very top business of government is done. They decide to turn the place into a marching ground. Yeah. I ask myself.
So then?
Kwame, when will there come the time when they will march to the Supreme Court and turn the place also into a marching ground? When will there come the time when they will march to the Jubilee House and turn that place into a marching ground? Chamber of Parliament. Can you point to me any parliament elsewhere where members of Parliament have turned the chamber into a marching ground?
Ghana.
Fantastic.
But there are certain chambers where
boxing
is exhibited.
That is where between two there's a misunderstanding. There is a certain struggle. That could be what I may say some spontaneous reaction or something. Here deliberate. Thinking through to turn the chamber into marching ground. That is different. Kwame, Emi, in the Motofo, my penasama. You may imagine that these are lovers, but we may misunderstand each other, and then we will change physicals. That for as long as they are humans in the chamber, that could happen. But on your own, Kwame.
Come on.
In painful you want constituencies when you have name one question your national business. Kwame, chamber, the place where they are supposed to do the business, they turn the place into a marching ground, and the entire country must be applauding them.
Nigeria.
Kwame, the people of this country, in a very dramatic way and a very special way, have been saved by the decision of the majority leader and the majority side. Kwame Fenyo Makin. I applaud him. See, the heat is still in him. Alote, Fenyo Makin still has the heat in him. But you see, so one more pain or they use Sebio, use Wuti. So Kwame, when your pain will be or my money na 3 arms of government. Baby Malaysia. Na oman pain na nem pain fom wo de baba ya dwunu ho oman be mo ko ye bia ya dwunu ho na wa ye pain e sugar o mu da Kwame e hata do e bodo na use wuti
enti Kwame na wa hata on show no do. I
am telling you Kwame that Fenyo Makin is still as buoyant, as boisterous as I've always known him to be, but see, he has allowed the leadership to take charge over him. You ask yourself, have others also allowed themselves? They will. NDC won't change their way. They will. Kwame, Are you now ready to give me my stone? They want NDC. What you them change? I tell you, I said, look, I know this man, and I tell you, the name people will place their finger in their mouth.
Ever change parliamentary leadership change.
Now, I was so I didn't say one. What Brian had this one was so. Also, what's in simple. You're some bunch of
if you want. On no trigger, you know.
But see, the same person, that person. You have seen his, have you seen his video interview?
Juana.
How did you do? I applaud him. I applaud Ayene.
Dominic Ayini.
Ayene, these are, and I applaud them because
he's a law scholar.
Yeah, but again, where they had their training, the hall they were.
Commonwealth Hall.
Commonwealth Hall, the two of them. Kwame, in fact, it is them.
True stance.
It is them who have stood at the time where we needed men to be counted. The time that we needed men to be counted.
Why are they in the count one?
Kwame, find the graphic, bra. Ayende indeed parted from them and said that, look, the Supreme Court order must be complied with. Ayene, am I mentioning the name? Ayene. The Supreme Court order must be complied with. He knows the consequences of non-compliance of orders from the Supreme Court.
No, what's about maybe waiting
then the interview by Haruna Jusu affirming the same point, and yet the leadership, Kwame, watch the leadership, watch Atufosin, watch governance Abuja, watch Kofi Amabua, watch them, Kwame. They are repudiating and indeed virtually throwing the entire Supreme Court under the bus. But they have no understanding of what they are doing. They have no understanding. Kwame, say, the Supreme Court, the democracy I operate here. Obiara did Supreme Court, they want to true from. In effect, he's cancelling our democratic dispensation. That is where the entire bulwark, the rest, the rock, the spine of this democracy, that is where it rests. It's the Supreme Court. Kwame na mamumbo Chief Justice na nimpemfu ho abado. Lawyers wan asema o kan de. Say e de prepare yadwuma. Na say oya eso. Be mo fi so be fi eso so be go agum bambran. For justice prepare for yadwuma. Supreme Court must not be intimidated in any way. But Kwame, what is even worrying is that people who are, you may call them the grandpas and the grandmas in the legal profession, 30 years plus, 40 years plus, you hear their comments. Jesus Christ. So the Judicial Council, are they taking notice of such persons? Such persons are Kwame, the very training that they have gone through, knowing what it is, that if the confidence and trust in the justice system, if that breaks down, I mean, if the confidence and trust in the justice system, if it breaks down today, we have no Ghana.
If the confidence and justice in the
last minute, let me see from Kwame. The order or declaration made by the Supreme Court, it must be enforced. Order.
And it will be enforced.
Order. In order that the Constitution is maintained. I don't know, maybe you have a law person, a lawyer who may assist me. Whether if you go to 58, Kwame, I've been thinking through this morning, whether 58, it imposes that authority on the executive, 58-2. As the executive authority of Ghana shall extend to the execution and maintenance of this constitution and all laws made under or confirmed or continued in force by this constitution. The maintenance of this constitution and all laws, the execution of this constitution. Kwame, can we have any lawyer, because I have been struggling in my mind whether in the orders given by the Supreme Court, if Parliament, if the minority, as they were doing what they were doing, had insisted they were defying and repudiating that order, whether it would have been in the remit and in the domain, in the authority of the executive, here the president, to ask that whichever force be applied to ensure that that order is maintained. I want a certain clarification on this matter.
The only clarification you get this morning is that beginning today you're also suspended in Kokrokoo dubio Kokrokoo sia fantini bionabra
the matters which were
anape kabrofo be dan kwe
the matters on
but
the table,
mama ho kana
forgive me, the matters on the table were said that I needed to forgive me.
You stand repudiated and forgiven because you used the word repudiated about 7 times. Until you stand repudiated and forgiven.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, sir.
Oti
because it can be also account bro for Breachum this morning. Breachum says, are people now saying that Alban Bagbin did not declare the NDC a majority? If so, why did Ato Forson stand on his feet to thank him and declare that from now we are the majority? Why then did the former president within minutes, that is former President Mahama, declare that it was the beginning of their victory? Kwame, for me, the sequences in happenings suggest that it was all planned in connivance with the speaker to bring down the government. They should be ashamed of themselves. Breachum says that one. Chairman General, if we have the NDC national chairman as a board member of parliament, what do you expect? I believe this whole thing was a plot to take power of parliament by force. Michael Obima in Kumasi. Citizen Francis says Ghana's parliament differs significantly from the UK. Unlike the UK where parliamentary sovereignty reigns, Ghana's sovereignty rests with the people, as stated in Article 1 of the Constitution of Ghana. This means Ghana's constitution holds supreme, not parliament. Citizen Francis. Okay, this one is just greetings. Osafo in Kaswa says, I commend the NPP members of parliament on how they've comported themselves so far. And then the NPP should face this problem going into the next parliament. Next time they would allow delegates and the people to choose their own members who can win at constituency levels. They should not repeat what happened in 2020 by imposing people on delegates. Nicholas, Wesley Cathedral Choir in Kumasi. Kwame Duncan has done justice to the issue. I'll add that Ato Forson and his colleagues read the late lawyer Bimpon Butter's book, The Role of the Supreme Court in the Development of Constitutional Law in Ghana. Sasa Ene Edo Ebaye. The Speaker of Parliament has adjourned Parliament indefinitely. It's a step in the right direction. Kwame na acidity ahafo achrensia. Hey, it's almost 11 in the morning. It's time to go. But please tell Kwamina that we do not understand his big English today. Well, Fred Kwamina says, as for this morning, he apologizes. His arguments are falling flat in our ears. Kwamina, thank you. Yes, the vandals Ayine and Haruda Idrisu held their balls.
Yes.
That is Nana Hesio jury. And you should see Kwamna nodding in agreement that indeed they held their balls. And let me shout out to my friend, senior friend, and proud vandal, teacher IKJC.
Oh,
a very good morning to you, Mr. IKJC. And
I hold my words here.
Sir, Kwamna says, Kwamna repeat. Kwamna says to let you know he has held his balls. Whatever. The man's an mentazo. And you dem Castrano.
A sign of solidarity.
Or Bejamuquano. Ojina, no compound negates anymore. And I'm saying once a vandal, not chim, always a vandal. Oh no, not kind.
I'm still holding.
Also, I hold my balls. Oh no, some. How can you do this? You're an interesting group of people. Anyway, I like to be associated with you, especially because you are sharp minds. Speaker Bagbin and the NDC are deliberately pushing for the government to shut down, to block the payment of teachers, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, police, military, and other public sector workers. They are fully aware that Mr. Mahama will lose on December 7. That is why they are going on the path of lawlessness. Some are Brian Boabe in Awoshi. And then And then this one says,
there's something happening in your home region.
We'll come to that before we wrap up. And somebody says, remember Bidziding's balls. And take a wild guess who sent this.
Mr. Rollins is going to let you know.
Take a wild guess who sent this one. Bombay.
I was so close to it. A witness.
Very good history.
Yeah.
I was very close to it.
When the boys were held.
Mama get your.
Now, Kwame now. Ubombe, some kind of the quick ones. Also, for precision's sake, it was Ato Forsen who called the speaker's attention to the 4 vacancies on the floor of the House. Also, Haruna's comment was rather at a party event.
Yeah.
But on the floor of Parliament, it was Ato Forsen.
Thank you, sir.
Then he continues. The antecedents closed down the Supreme Court once upon a time. Even Parliament was invaded and its canteen, quote unquote, raped of its contents of breakfast.
That's right.
Cocoa, bread, and sugar.
That's right.
You can imagine MPs who ran helter skelter.
And he says the antecedents.
Yes, the antecedents.
Okay.
Yes. I
know them for who they are.
Obatampa Frances Irabna Esiem says, Chairman General, Nahu Kosamoga, all this boils down to the election of the Speaker of Parliament. Yeah. This is how far it has brought us. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, Yapon.
Hi.
Yapon. Say, Kwame na mama ne latitude. Remember, before you come here, let me shout out to Christabel in America. Thank you for listening, Christabel. Kabila Mapon. Yeah.
Where do I probably mass tutor, say computer.
Say computer.
Say ni mate, Professor Regina appear upon.
Professor Regina appear upon.
Fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Or yen inaugural lecture.
Hey.
Ya wada ebe ni na awotwe ocha na awotwe. Ewo eye Kwame Nkrumah auditorium. Na me man
Kwame Nkrumah auditorium way.
Ewo Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences.
5:30 p.m. Kwame ne okoma lecture on the benefits of plant medicine. The topic here medicinal plants, a rich natural resource of Ghana to be harnessed for national development. The man said the name and the say oye inaugural lecture. Chairman General.
Yeah.
We no Mr. Namaka. 1. Eya nyame ya adomu a 7th January 2025. Ghana. Mampani akufado na duma be ba na wie ama mampani foforo. Ai ababe ye mampani.
Alhaji Dr. Bamba.
Me bompa ye say mampani a yenye nhu ne subida. Onye manye mampani da. Ono mra. Enti madika aka. Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. And Kwame, there are many reasons why he should go. But Kwame, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be remembered for so many good things. For so many good things he's doing. Mesre no say, Nyakodri omo modern sana, nenda kakra aka no, enwie jojo na issues aka say so settle nyina no, unsettle with all outstanding persons, na making sure say omanu mu enyo ye no ebeko yie pepepe.
This is
the first time Obia or one who to so if he say one who to say obey election or person say elections.
Well, Mate, 3 minutes past 11. Minya Bako Kumi of SIC. Osutie Watamale Anope Kumi Yechiao. Midenda Ma Kabila, Midenda Ma Lute, Midenda Emma Kwamina Duncan. Now, Nyami Aduma, next Wednesday we have another session. That's right. I promise we'll start earlier than we started today. But Okaho, get fun. Okaho. Let me shout out to you, Brigadier General GKT Sam. Good morning, sir. May your day be blessed. Remember to keep your dreams and hopes alive. Leaving you with the book of Numbers in the Bible. Numbers 6:24 to 26 is my prayer for you, my dear listener. We all know it's a tough world out there. The ups and downs. or if you like, the vicissitudes of life. I'm not making a kind of focus here. But as always, when you stop to say a prayer, remember to say one for me too. God bless. Good morning.
And a wife better na brebia. And then so better be. And ya be bia and our friend.
Hey, any man can ye cra. Minim say a mother that my wife and one fear may different as I pray for frono. Your friend kwa brown rice.
When him na egu ase. Emu